This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and it's spring training 2022 from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. This afternoon on Valley Sports Midwest, it's the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Welcome to Cardinals baseball with Brad Thompson. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. And we're going to get a look today at Drew Verhagen, signed in the offseason, and it's a battle for that fifth spot.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity here for Drew Verhagen. Miles Michaelis was tabbed to pitch on the big field today. Ollie Marmol mixed it up. He said he wants to see Drew Verhagen here try to win this job. He's shown us good life on the fastball. First time out, 2 scoreless innings, punched out 3, and Danny gets a lot of ground balls. With this team, well, that's a pretty good sign.
All right, should be a lot of fun here today in spring training 2022 from Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. The Washington Nationals, the St. Louis Cardinals. First pitch, starting lineups coming up. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Valley Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Shelter Insurance. For your home, auto, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the St. Louis Cardinals. The palm trees, sunshine, and a beautiful day for baseball, right around 72 degrees. As we come to you from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida, spring training home of the St. Louis Cardinals. And with Brad Thompson, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Drew Verhagen will get the call today as the crowd is still filing in. We've had very good crowds down here at spring training.
We have, and Dan, can you believe it? Less than 2 weeks away from opening day at Busch Stadium against the Pirates, but there's still a lot of work to be done in these 2 weeks and a lot of jobs that are up for grabs. And this man right here, Drew Verhagen, he's looking to take one of those jobs. Drew Verhagen, over his career, pitched with the Tigers for parts of 6 seasons. Last 2 years in Japan, they signed him to a 2-year deal, and the stuff looks good, Dan. Last time out, 2 strong innings. A look at the pitch arsenal, 4-seam fastball. He was running that thing up there 95, 96 the other day. Good sinker, changeup, slider, good feel for his breaking ball.
So Verhagen gets the call today after 2 years spent in Japan. And the leadoff man for the Washington Nationals is Cesar Hernandez. We saw him a bunch with the Phillies, and now with the Nationals. The lineup for Davey Martinez, Escobar, Cruz. That's the big signing that they had, a designated hitter. Urena, Adrianza, Parra, Adams, D. Strange, Gordon, and Victor Robles. So some of the regulars in the lineup today for Washington. Cardinals defensively, a lot of their regulars are in this lineup with Tyler O'Neill, the Gold Glover, 1 of 5 from a year ago. He's in left, Bader in center, Carlson in right, Arenado, DeYoung, Nolan Gorman at second, Goldie at first, and Andrew Kisner is behind the plate. Cardinals post-lockout made the first signing in free agency, and it's the 31-year-old that's on the mound today, and a strike delivered to Cesar Hernandez, and we're underway.
That was one that I know Drew Verhagen had a hard time keeping under wraps. The conversations were getting to the point where he was ready to sign.
On a hop to third, playing in was Arenado, 1 away.
And he found himself the right team, didn't he, Dan? You're a guy that pitches to contact. You stay down in the zone. You got that guy on the left side of the infield. Life is good.
Alcides Escobar, the shortstop today, will dig in. And once again, no surprise, the Gold Glover at third coming up with that play. The first batter of spring training, he made a dazzling play. It was incredible.
It was on brand.
Yes.
These guys come in ready. There's no easing into a shortened spring training.
First pitch to Escobar, drops in for a strike, a breaking ball, and a good one.
I like the look of that a lot, being able to steal strikes with the breaking ball. He can also bury it when he gets to 2 strikes. Very simple delivery here for Verhagen.
And the 0-1 On the ground to Nolan Gorman, who's made that transition from third base to second. He says, I want to win a Gold Glove. Not just be a guy known for my bat, but I want to win a Gold Glove.
Oh, you appreciate that. I know that's something that Ollie Marmol talks a lot about is, hey, you got to be a complete ball player. Your bat might end up carrying you onto a roster, but if you're going to be on a roster, you got to be able to do a little bit of everything, and you got to put in the work to do so. And Nolan Gorman is doing that. Juan Yepes, another guy that's really trying to put in the work with the glove.
Curious signing for me. It's Nelson Cruz, designated hitter. This is a team that last year was 65 and 97. DH now in the National League. He signs a deal for 1 year at $12 million, and he was one of the sought-after bats on the market for any team looking for a DH, and he winds up in Washington.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was surprising. I know this about Nelson Cruz. Whatever team he's on and whatever clubhouse he's in, the team is going to be better for him. He's just one of those guys, not just the bat, but it's the presence that he has. They've got a lot of young, influential players over there, but I think that Nelson Cruz can help out a lot. But I was really thinking contender for Cruz.
0-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Verhagen gets the strikeout with the breaking ball, and a dandy to Nelson Cruz. 1-2-3 go the Nationals. Cardinals coming up the home half of the first. All on the field today, and we'll do so during our telecast as well. Coming up in the second inning, his lineup: Carlson, Goldie O'Neill, Arenado, Dickerson, the DH, DeYoung, Bader, Kisner, and Nolan Gorman. Cade Cavalli is a 23-year-old, the Nationals' first-round pick in 2020, number 22 overall. And he raced through their system just a season ago. Started at High A, that's in Wilmington, made it to Triple-A Rochester. And Brad, he struck out 175 in 24 starts.
Is that good?
It's pretty good.
Is that good? Yeah, he's got a fastball that reaches triple digits, got a little natural cut to it. Also has a really good changeup that he throws. A lot of confidence in Cavalli.
And a lot of regulars in this lineup. Be interesting as we go along in the regular season. And I think so much is put into the everyday lineup of where you hit in the lineup. Sometimes people say it doesn't really matter, but at least today it's Dylan Carlson at the top.
Well, it's something that Ollie talked about before the game. He's going to give Dylan some looks there. He likes what he's seen out of Tommy Edman, but it's another competition in this camp. See where the fit is, you know, and the key for Dylan Carlson, don't change what you're doing. You just go out there. Doubles, home runs, those are still fine. You can be a leadoff guy like that. Just get on base, get something going.
Really solid first year for Dylan, playing just about every day. 18 home runs, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Hitting .375 in this camp with a homer, and he's driven in 4. On the backfields today, the Cardinals had Miles Michaelis, who initially was, as Brad told you, supposed to start in the big game here with all the fans, but was on the backfields, went 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, struck out 4, 6 ground ball outs. And he was working, by the way, with Yadier Molina. And a count of 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-2.
I like the idea, Dan, of having Drew Verhagen in this game on the mound. It's not that he hasn't pitched in the big leagues and been in big games before. He's got himself a guaranteed contract. But he's out here trying to battle and fight for a job. This is the place to be doing it. The backfield's a little bit more difficult.
Wind is blowing out towards the right field line. So you get one up in the air and you might have a home run. And Carlson, they appeal, did go. It's a strikeout of Dylan Carlson, as everybody was waiting to see if the Nationals would appeal. They did, and they ring him up. Nationals defensively with Gordon in left, Robles in center. Parra, World Series hero, there he is. From 2019, he's in right. Adrianza, Escobar, Hernandez, Urena along the infield, and Riley Adams, the catcher today. And a strike to Paul Goldschmidt. We were talking to Paul before the game. He is living in the offseason down here in Jupiter. Says he loves it, close to the complex, can get workouts in here. Nothing into the count. He's had a really good start to his spring too, hitting .500.
It really has. It seemed like he didn't stop hitting from the end of last season. Remember that tear he was on at the end of the year.
Well documented. The bat that Paul is using this year's much different than what he's had in years past, and it's crazy to say that an ounce or two can make a difference, but it really does.
It can, and why not tinker, right? I think there are a lot of people that say, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can always improve. There's always something little.
And a check swing and a foul ball. Your Tyler O'Neill on deck. The odd knob of the bat there that he's using. Like a lumberjack.
It does, right? Out there, it's not the axe handle, but it's still just a totally different look and a different feel.
Evens it up at 2-2. Cavalli is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Played high school baseball at Bixby. Then pitched for the Oklahoma Sooners. University of Oklahoma. Originally a two-way player for 2 years and then strictly a starting pitcher in his junior season, then the draft, and he's got back-to-back strikeouts to start this game.
You see what you like, what the Nationals like about their #1 prospect overall. That's a breaking ball that just drops off the table. Goldie spoiled one on the 0-2 pitch, but couldn't get a bat on that one.
Tyler O'Neill, shift on the left side, and the outfield very deep for O'Neill. We were talking with Steve Sachs, the former major leaguer, longtime major leaguer with the Dodgers, before the game on the field, and Tyler O'Neill did not have his uniform top on. He just had a t-shirt on underneath, and he says, now wait a minute, who is that guy?
Who is that?
And we said, well, that's Tyler O'Neill. He said, holy smokes. He said, that dude is big. And to think that he's not even as big as he was maybe even a couple of years ago. Still in great condition.
Well, the crazy thing is he's got that ability to have the size and the strength that he does, but he's got the flexibility, he's got the speed. He knows himself so well. He knows what he needs, and he knows what he needs to be able to maintain this.
And the 2-1 is in there for a strike. 2-2. Cavalli is impressive. They're expecting big things long term out of him with a revamped Washington organization, not just the major league club, but on all levels. Lifted in the air to right field. Playing deep was Parra, and he'll make the catch shy of the track. Cardinals go in order. We played 1 inning. Spring training baseball. Great to be back with you. Pick the winner of every team's opening day game and compete to win $100,000 MLB opening day pick'em. See runs and enter at MLB.com/pick'em. Restrictions apply. Well, Verhagen, an impressive first inning that took all of 7 pitches and all were strikes.
Yeah, pretty good. That's what you like to see, going right after the opposition.
Here's Urania, and he taps it foul. So you got a couple of switch hitters, then a lefty coming up here. I always think that's something to watch out for early, and we're just getting accustomed to seeing him, but just how he fares with righties and lefties.
You have to have something to keep the lefty off. He's got a really good sinker, and he can run his 4-seam up in the zone, but does he have the feel for the changeup? Did he backdoor the breaking ball? They're all things you learn.
And that's strike 2. Urania is a shortstop. Began his career signed by the Toronto Blue Jays. Does have a little big league time. Spent time with Toronto, Baltimore, and signed a minor league contract with the Nationals in late November. The 0-2 pitch is fought off and fouled back. Well, it's hard to imagine, but 2 weeks from yesterday, that's opening day in St. Louis. It is right around the corner.
Yeah, and you can tell the urgency around camp. I mean, there's no easing into anything. There's no time for the dog days of camp where you're just ready to get it going.
This would be about the time that you might have that dead arm stage, and you know about that, being a pitcher, whether you're starter, reliever, doesn't matter, but in a normal camp, not always, but a lot of guys get that dead arm. And maybe you can explain a little bit why that happens and what it is. And here's a ground ball that's hit to Goldie. Verhagen to the bag, and that's 4 up and 4 down.
Yeah, so far so good for Verhagen, but I'm with you on that. You do end up getting a time where you're throwing off these mounds again. You're getting into games. You're putting in a little bit more effort than you were putting in the offseason as far as, you know, the ball coming out of your hands. And sometimes it takes a minute. Maybe it takes a couple of days to get through it. For some guys, it's a week or so. Now the hope is everybody was getting ready like normal anyhow, so maybe we're already past that for a lot of guys. But the dead arm stuff, you're going to deal with that during the regular season too. And it's managing it. It's knowing what you need on the side. It's also communicating too. You got to be able to have that honesty with your staff, let them know how you're feeling to get through these things.
A-Ray Adrianza, and he taps that foul. Spent a lot of time in the National League. Giants, the Braves. Spent some time with Minnesota and signed a one-year deal a few days ago with these Washington Nationals. They've got him at third base today. He can play all over the diamond. The next by Verhagen is swung on and missed.
So we're seeing a great mix of his fastballs too. He's using that sinker down and away, and it's got really good life to it. And then he climbs the ladder with that four seam. I mean, that's mid to upper 90s.
The shift on the right side, pitch taken up and in. Nationals last year went 65 and 97. They were 11 games below 500 at home, 21 below 500 on the road. And then they dismantled the core of that team. And the high fly ball lifted into right field, backing up Dylan Carlson. And there's 2-way. Here's Parra. A World Series hero, as I mentioned, for the Nationals, now in his second stint with Washington. Remember his walk-up song? It was the Baby Shark.
Oh yeah, families love it.
Yeah. So they had the shark dance when he'd come to the plate.
They're still doing it in Palm Beach when he comes up to bat in spring training.
And Parra looks at a strike. Boy, Verhagen is just filling up the strike zone.
Well, the thing is too, he's filling up the zone, but he's not down the middle. He's spotting up very well. He's got a good feel for everything.
0-1 pitch. Slowly hit up the first base line. Goldie will barehand. Verhagen to the bag. 6 up, 6 down. Impressive. Drew Verhagen. We'll get the headsets to Ollie and have a quick visit with him. Looking forward to that when we come back. Been looking forward to this inning as we get the chance to visit with Ollie Marmol, the first-year manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. We're scoreless. Brad Thompson, Dan McLaughlin with you. And Ollie, thanks for throwing on the headsets. And first and foremost, congratulations.
I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you very much. Excited.
What's it been like for you early on in camp?
It's been fun. It really has. It was an interesting offseason, so to be able to be back with the boys and actually face-to-face with the staff and planning and just getting everything in order for the season has been great. Being around the players and collaborating with them as far as how we're going to do this thing has been an absolute blast.
Ollie, we were just talking about it, how, I mean, less than 2 weeks away from opening day at Busch Stadium, yet there's still a lot to sort out. There's a lot of competition in camp, right? And that's probably the way you'd like it.
It's, I'm absolutely loving it. You have even a guy on the bump right now competing for that 5th spot. There's a lot of competition all the way around. Attaboy, Noel. So to see the guys getting after it, they're prepared, which is fun, and it'll be a great competition leading into opening day at Busch.
Leadoff double standing up, Nolan Arenado. Boy, it helps when you got Nolan and, let's see, Gold Glover at first and, some Gold Glovers in the outfield. You have a great defensive team coming back, don't you, Ollie?
I don't hate it whatsoever. These guys they can really cook it all the way around, man. We got some really good guys in the outfield, a really good infield, and these boys are going to be able to hit, too. This is going to be a fun year.
Ollie, you know what I really enjoyed watching today is that your team works diligently, and that's something that we've seen over the years with the Cardinals. Spring training, going through the details really matters. But I loved watching Goldie today working and helping Juan Yepes. I love watching Tommy Edman help out Nolan Gorman. I mean, this is how a team gets better.
No doubt about it. There's competition within the group, but at the end of the day is making each other better. And Goldie does a phenomenal job with that. He's really intentional about spending time with the young guys and making sure that they're comfortable and understand what this looks like up here, so that one day they'll be able to contribute the way he's contributing. And you go all the way around our team, and the guys are good about passing it on to that next group, and just continuity within the culture that we have up here. So it's definitely fun to see.
Okay, Ollie, I got a tough one for you.
All right.
You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Adam Wainwright is, 8 1/3. Game is on the line. Roughly 100, 110 pitches, and you got to make that call and take the ball from him. What do you think those conversations are going to be like?
I can't wait for it.
I love it.
I told him I'm taking him out in the 5th, and he didn't love that. No, it's great, man. There's a ton of respect for everybody and from the guys to myself as well. And at the end of the day, I want these guys thinking that they can go the whole game. I want them competing that way. I want their mindset being wrapped around that. So I look forward to that conversation.
Well, when you look at, we just talked about the defense already, and we're seeing what Drew Verhagen is doing already. He's using these guys, pumping strikes. You might be able to get a lot of innings.
There's a base hit into right. Arenado is going to be held up by Pop Warner as Dickerson picks up the single.
Let's just pick up right there with that guy, okay? Because a left-handed compliment to the bench, Ollie. Dickerson's been around. He's been around the big leagues. What is it like been having him in camp, and how do you think that he fits in?
It's awesome having him at camp. He's a great fit for this club. We were looking for kind of that veteran type of left-handed bat. And outside of just his skill set of being a good hitter and being around, man, day one, he's already pouring into some of the young guys and talking through at bats during the live BP and telling guys what he failed at and what gave him success. So from a fit standpoint, it's perfect because it just fits into that culture of making sure that we're not just looking out for ourselves, we're looking out for the guys around us and making sure that collectively as a team, we're all headed in the right direction. I love having him here.
Here's Paul DeYoung. What have you seen out of Paulie so far in this camp?
He's convicted about having a good season, and that's there's a difference between that and just being optimistic. This guy has conviction to what he's doing right now, and this is what we were hoping to see coming into this spring. He's determined to show everybody what he's capable of doing. Physically, he's using the whole field, and when he's able to stay through the ball to the right side, everything else kind of falls into the right spot. But this is a guy that's really committed. Why are you nodding no right now, Skip? Okay.
You got to make sure you two are on the same page. We don't have any problems already, do we?
No, I think we're good. I think we're good. 162 with this guy. That's going to be fun.
I'll tell you what, it's awesome having that guy to your left, wearing the birds on the bat again. He is one of our favorites and obviously a great baseball mind in Skip Schumacher, and it seems like it's a great fit for you, Ollie, to have Skip next to you.
It is a really good fit. One, he looks better in red, but two, just adds a lot of credibility to what we're doing. This is a guy that is well respected across the league, well respected within the guys on this club and in that clubhouse, and loves the game, loves to teach the game, and doing the season with him is going to be a lot of fun.
Is he still wearing Padres sunglasses?
Yeah, he is. You got yellow. Those are Padres.
Yeah, it's about time to mix that up a little bit. Hey, Ollie, I know.
Is DeYoung. Laces one to right. That's a fair ball. It drops. Arenado will score the first run of our game, and great base running there by Dickerson, first to third. You love to see that even in spring training.
Yes, you do.
Just like you mentioned, using the whole field, end up going the other way right there for Paul DeYoung to drive one in. Ollie, everybody was so excited the other day as Yadier Molina gets into camp. I know he worked out on the backfields. He got some at-bats. Caught Michaelis today. When can we expect to see Yadi in game action here in Grapefruit League play?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to him here in a little bit and see what that could look like moving forward. I believe he's going to get some more at-bats tomorrow and possibly travel with us to Port St. Lucie to play the Mets. So it might look like a Sunday start for him.
Do you know who's starting, by the way, Ollie? That is laced into right center off the bat of Bader. All the way to the track. One run will score. That's Dickerson. Here comes DeYoung. He will score. Harrison Bader drives in a pair to make it 3-0 St. Louis. Just to finish that thought, Ollie, I think it's Scherzer, DeGrom on Sunday, so you might want to give Yadi just one more day. I'm just saying.
Knowing him, that's probably the reason he actually wants to go over there.
Probably right.
Ollie, just so you know, if this opportunity arises during the regular season, this always happens when the manager is on with the broadcast. I mean, it's an offensive outpour.
Well, I'm willing to do this every inning then.
Oh, so we have a firm commitment from Ollie to come on every game. This is great.
If this is what happens, I'm in.
Here's Andrew Kisner, who's had the bulk of the playing time. And we were talking about this off the air, Ollie, how you try to manage the workload for Yadi and keeping him sharp, but then keeping Kisner sharp. Is there, and not to say that, we're going to look for you to give away secrets here, but is there a number in mind that you're looking at in games in terms for both these guys?
Not yet, but that is something that we'll sit down over the next week and kind of plan out with the both of them. I'll sit down with Yad and figure out what's going to be best for him in this club and making sure that he stays fresh and healthy for the entirety of the season and into the playoffs. And but keeping that balance of Kiz being sharp and Yadi being fresh is going to be a good one.
Here's the 0-1 pitch now to Andrew Kisner. Bader at second base. I brought this up on the air, and I would assume that you've thought about it, but your final time, let's say you go to Cincinnati or New York, you name the place, and you're trying to win and manage to win, but also respect what is a Hall of Fame career in Yadier Molina so that fans can see him one more time. Have you thought about those scenarios and how they could play out?
Not yet. I haven't, but it is something that I'm going to have to spend some time with and make sure that, yeah, he got it.
You need to throw the headset off and get in an argument and get your first ejection right now.
I'll keep the headset on. But no, it's something I need to spend some time with and actually think through because it's an unbelievable career. It's one where the fans need to be able to enjoy it, and I want to be mindful of that throughout the whole year.
You do realize when you sit down with Yadi that he is going to tell you that 162 is the number that's best for him, right?
No doubt about it. That's usually the conversation.
It's a good problem to have when your guy wants to play and play efficiently and effectively and a Hall of Fame player. So that's a good problem to have.
No doubt. No doubt.
How about Verhagen and the first couple of innings that you've seen out of him? He's impressive.
He is impressive, and he carries himself well. There's just a presence to him. He's fit in really well with the guys in that clubhouse, and from a pitchability standpoint, we're seeing a pretty good breaking ball. And I know he throws that slider a little more than the curveball, but a lot of swing and miss with the curveball. So we've been impressed so far.
Ollie, have you thought about how you approach the DH? Now we've seen Dickerson. He's at that spot today with a right-hander on the mound. Is that going to be kind of a rotation of guys, or how do you approach using the DH?
I think it'll be a little bit of a rotation of guys, depending on how our roster shapes up. But it'll be kind of handedness will play into it, but also even if we have two lefties on, like Newbar and Dickerson, we may be able to see kind of how they match up best against the type of righty, whether it's a guy with a hoppy fastball or a sinker baller, and what plays best into both of their swings. But I think it could also be a rotation, giving guys days off, right? It'd be good to get Nolan off his feet a couple times a year and still have his bat in the lineup. Same with Goldie and all the way around to an O'Neill. So I think there's some versatility there.
Ollie, what about the leadoff spot? We see Dylan Carlson there today. We know Tommy Edman, 41 doubles. He stole 30 bags last year. He's been solid. Can we see some fluctuation there?
Yeah, it just depends. That's part of what we're wanting to take a peek at this spring, is what it looks like with Carlson there, what it looks like. Obviously, we know what it looks like with Edman there. But depending on the pitcher and what's best for them individually and us as a club. So I do want to keep that open here for the next week and take a peek at both.
You got Nolan Gorman at second today. Any young kids stood out in this camp and caught your eye?
Yeah, Gorman's going through a little bit where we talked this morning, and he admitted to it. He's just wanting to do too much every single swing and just relax and go out there and play. We know he can hit. It's just a matter of him being able to actually let loose a little bit and let his ability play. But one of the couple young guys in Andre Palante, he threw the other day.
Well, we like him.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah.
He did a very nice job, and so has Walsh. So taking a peek at those guys moving forward will be good.
Ollie, congratulations on the job. You're always first class. Love having you in that spot. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.
You got it. Ali Marmol, the new manager here in St. Louis. Aspects of spring training, the relaxed atmosphere that you get when you come to the ballpark. And that's Yadier Molina signing autographs. And I'm sure a moment those young fans will never, ever forget.
Special. It's
awesome.
special. Like, spring training is a place where you end up getting fans for life. Kids get an autograph, get to take a picture with somebody. It's special.
So Verhagen, it's been 6 up, 6 down. This is Riley Adams, the catcher today for Washington. D. Strange Gordon, and then Victor Robles. 7, 8, and 9 for Washington. I had the nicest email forwarded to me this morning. You talk about making memories from the folks at Delta Dental, which is a corporate partner of the Cardinals. And the reason why is that we had a virtual kind of a town hall, if you will. And last night it was David Eckstein and David Freese, and I got to moderate those two. It was put together by Joe Pfeiffer and his great staff, and Larry State, Selena, all the gang there that just do an incredible job of facilitating special nights, you know, for corporate partners or fans. And those two guys, I was thinking last night, it's not often you can get 2 World Series MVPs together, much less as open as they are about what it was like and taking you behind the scenes and pulling back the curtain. And it was just terrific last night. So thanks to those two and Joe and your staff. Deep center, Bader going back, and it's gone. It's a solo home run, and that is no cheap home run there. That's close to dead center field, and that gets them on the board. It's now a 3-1 St. Louis lead.
Drew Verhagen in the first couple of innings, he's been working the corners, working in and out, staying ahead. This time it's a 2-seamer, ends up catching way too much of the plate. Adam gets every piece of it. I don't care how good your stuff is, you're always going to get hurt if you leave it there.
So Riley Adams, his first hit of the spring, it's a home run, and Gordon can't hold up, and that's strike 1. David Freese is playing a lot of golf down in Texas. That's where he is calling home. He says he goes back and forth, though, to St. Louis twice a month and playing a ton of golf and just enjoying his time there.
As he should.
And David Eckstein is down here in Florida, the Orlando area, and his wife, of course, the actress, especially with some of the Disney movies and characters that are out, and they're working on different projects and staying busy. But both talked about, Brad, their love of the game, how much they still love the game of baseball and watch the Cardinals all the time.
Anytime you get a chance to be around either one of those gentlemen, like, you just know. You know they love the game. You know they know the game inside and out, and that's special. It's special to get those two guys together, and I'm glad you were able to do that, Dan. Now, you did tell me beforehand that you were really the star of the show, and then these guys kind of helped out.
Yeah.
They did some things, but that was nice of you to let them join in.
Well, that's why, you know, all those fans logged on. It was to hear me ask questions.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I mean, you got Freese or Eckstein, whatever, but yeah.
Your presentation is key.
Oh, yeah. Victor Robles. So if you're wondering, by the way, David Eckstein in his yellow Corvette has got about 11,000 miles on it.
That's it?
That's it.
Didn't he give that to his brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just hangs out.
Yep. But he had, though, the inside, the interior was hanging on his wall of the logo of the 2006 World Series, and then what would be like what you're sitting on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the seat, and that was hanging on his wall. It was pretty cool.
I can't picture driving down the street, stop at a light, and look over at a yellow Corvette and it's X. I just can't.
That's just not him. And a fly ball into left. And I'm serious when I say this. I think I should have followed up. I think he's driving the same car that he was driving in 06. I think so.
Come on. It was like a 98 Camry or something like that, which I believe was his sister's car.
Yeah.
And look, he doesn't care. Like, doesn't millionaire, great baseball player, just does not care about stuff like that. Does he get me from A to B? Perfect.
your former teammate. We talked a lot about Yadi and Waino too, and both those guys played with them. Obviously David 06 played 3 years with them, and then David Freeze played a number of years with both those players. And they said, you know what, I'm not really shocked that these guys are still doing it. It doesn't really surprise me. It is amazing though to see him still going.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I'm sure that down the road, once you do like your little diagram of all the players that they played with and all the careers that happened in the span of their careers, it's impressive.
It really is.
There's only one Cardinal that's played more seasons, right, than Yadier Molina, and that's Dan the Man. Pretty good company.
The thing that Yadi's doing it at the catcher's spot too, and playing a bunch of games in those years. Top of the lineup, Cesar Hernandez grounded out to third, first time up. And that is hit out to deep right, and another home run. Wind blowing out won't matter. That is way out of here, and a home run for Cesar Hernandez, his first of the spring, and it cuts a lead to 3-2. Pair of home runs hit by the Nats this inning.
Again, unlike the first couple of innings for Drew Verhagen, falls behind. You know, fell behind, lost the breaking ball in his hands a few times, has to come back in a 2-1 count with the fastball and leaves it belt high. A good swing right there. The key is always staying ahead. These are things, Dan, though, as a manager, you're trying to make a decision. Pitching coach, you're trying to evaluate. You want to see how he bounces back from this. Gives up a couple of home runs in the inning. Can he get right back to where he was?
Shallow center, but that will carry into the glove of Harrison Bader. 2 solo home runs. Adams, Hernandez. Midway through 3-2 St. Louis. 2021 marked the 50th and final season of Mike Shannon's legendary career in the broadcast booth. And April 10th, that's a Sunday, Cardinals and Pirates, 25,000 fans 16 and older take home the Mike Shannon bobblehead. That's thanks to Phillips 66. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Mike is at the ballpark here today, and we got a nice chat before the game. Feeling good, he said. He said that he got here in early March. He's going to be leaving in the next week or so, I believe. And he goes, I can't wait for opening day. I'll be there.
Oh, he's going to be ready.
Yep.
That's going to be nice to see again. Opening day on the 7th. And last year, the opening day, the festivities were great. But you remember all of the Hall of Famers were up on the berm. It's my understanding that everything is going to be normal this year. Normal is on the field right there with the players, and just like you're used to.
Cardinals this year, is Dylan Carlson is at the plate. They have a ticket fest, or McDonald's ticket fest, I should say, that honors Molina and Wainwright. You can get tickets for $4, as low as $4 the first couple of months of the regular season, as Dylan Carlson lifts a fly ball to left field. D. Strange Gordon is there to make the catch. And then all-inclusive tickets, so ticket to the game, all you can eat and drink, is $50.
Sign me up.
Just talking with our buddy Joe Strom, who is manning the ticket department of the Cardinals, and he said opening day we're going to have 46,000 there. Still some tickets remaining, but the first weekend should be well above 30,000. And we were talking about why has that happened. You know, we're back to normalcy in terms of at least having full stadiums, but a key was getting a full 162 in. A lot of the fans that they talked to, you know, said, hey, it wasn't pretty, you know, the lockout wasn't pretty, but you got it done. We're gonna have a full 162, and you know, fans for the most part jump back on board.
Yeah, I know that there were a lot of fans that were upset with it, and the narrative millionaire versus billionaire, look, I think it's a little off center, but it doesn't matter. Like, I understand the frustration from a fan base, but they got it done. They're playing baseball. They're figuring it out. Things get pushed back a week. The schedule remains intact. They added a couple of double headers, one in June, one in July in Chicago. Added 3 games on the back end in Pittsburgh. There's excitement. Like, there's a buzz around it. And as we've talked about a lot, you feel it here in the ballpark at Roger Dean. You feel it in that clubhouse as these guys are preparing for a season. And the goal is a deep postseason run. I mean, that's what they want to do.
The 3-1 pitch to Goldschmidt. Lifted foul and out of play down the right field line. What are your takeaways from our visit with Ollie? He's pretty understated, you know, he's very calm, and that's the kind of guy you're going to see.
Yeah, I think that I don't think he wanted to yell while his guys were hitting.
I don't think so.
No, but you're right. He's very measured in what he does, and you can just tell, like, watching him talk to his players, and when he's talking to the assembled media, like, he doesn't just spout off the first thing that comes to mind. Like, he thinks through everything that he does, and that's what he's going to do as a manager. He's got a great feel for a game from a playing standpoint and from a coaching standpoint. I think he also will bring in a lot of, I think we're going to see different looks. He talked about it there with the leadoff spot. We might see some different things. We might see some different things with the designated hitter. And he's already talked about his bullpen, Dan. His bullpen isn't going to be your typical, all right, well, this is our closer. He's going to see where the leverage is, and that's where he's going to deploy what he believes the best reliever for that spot.
There's Tyler O'Neill after the strikeout at Goldie. That's the third strikeout for Cavalli. He's had 48 pitches, 20 balls, 28 strikes. Tyler O'Neill fly to right field first time up. Shift on the left side, outfield deep and straight away. Hits the ball hard, undoubtedly, and that's what you think about with Tyler O'Neill, the combination of hitting the ball hard, which then resulted in some home runs, but also the speed that he possesses. The 0-1.
He hit the 34 home runs, Dan, last year, which is very impressive, especially with missing some time. But the most impressive thing about it was, for me, he didn't look like he was selling out for home runs. They were just a product of a good approach and a good swing. He's going to swing and miss, let the club in strikeouts. Like, that part of it's going to happen. But I think that you're okay with that when he brings you the power.
In the air to right field. Parra under it and makes the catch. Cardinals go in order, and we played 3. It's spring training baseball from Roger Dean Stadium, and the Redbirds on top. 3-2. Cardinals have the lead in the top of the 4th. Genesis Cabrera will take over. And what a career it was, as Andrew Miller has officially retired, the transformative reliever in his career, a 2-time All-Star. He struck out better than 10 per 9, 16 seasons. Tigers, Marlins, Red Sox, Orioles, Yankees, Cleveland, Cardinals, and the 2016 ALCS MVP when he was dominant. Struck out 14 and 7 2/3.
Well, he ruined it for a lot of pitchers because every team wanted an Andrew Miller. Like, go give me one of those. They're telling their front office, give me that guy. There weren't those guys.
Yeah.
That guy was special and kind of just changed how that job was done. What a career for him. Congratulations to him. And special. Derek Gould wrote up a great piece about him at the Post-Dispatch. Just kind of a nice ode to his career. The guy was one of the best pitchers and one of the most dominant relievers for quite some time.
There's an 0-2 pitch to Nelson Cruz off the mask of Kisner. Verhagen, his day is done between the white lines, but he's actually down in the St. Louis bullpen. And a lot of times, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll go to the starter and say, look, you're done throwing, but the pitcher will say, I want to throw a little bit more. Well, trying to build up.
This is when you know you had a successful outing. And I know he gave up a couple of home runs in that last inning, whatever. The first 2 he cruised through. Is you usually have a number of pitches that you're trying to get to. He obviously didn't get to that mark, and you get to finish out in the bullpen. So he's going out there getting some extra work in, because remember, the idea is building up right now. Verhagen has got a real good opportunity, and I would say an inside track to win that 5th starter job.
Did not go, and it's 1-2. We were talking to a scout, and there's so many scouts around Major League Baseball at these ballparks throughout spring, because some guys may not make a team, or you're looking for a trade, or whatever the case may be. As Cruz hits it into shallow center, there's Bader. And the scout pointed to us about Cabrera in terms of his lead leg kind of opening up a little bit at times, where for part of a season last year they saw going straight to the plate, but this allows him, this delivery, to get through everything and try not to leave everything up and in, let's say on a left-handed batter.
Yeah, sometimes it allows you to finish. If you open that front side a little bit and maybe you see your spot a little bit better, you do have a tendency, though, you really have to focus on not allowing it to open up too much, because that's when the arm drops. That's when you end up riding it up and in. We've seen that before with Cabrera, but he's got such an electric arm. It's about harnessing it, and he did that. Like, he took that next step last year. 71 games for Genesis Cabrera, and a guy that was and will be in that late inning mix.
Jam shot by Urania to Nolan Gorman for the second out. So 2 outs, and Adrianza will step up your pregame routine with the rally. It's your favorite athletes and the top insiders in sports bring you an all-new experience. Watch the rally every weekday at 4, and you can see that on Bally Sports Midwest. So 2 outs. Adrianza fly to right field his first time up, 0 for 1. Nationals got a pair of solo home runs in the third. Shift on the left side. And there's a strike.
That's just a 93-mile-an-hour changeup right there, Dan. That's all that is.
And your fastball was what?
Less than that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's nasty there.
That's one as a right-handed hitter. You see it. You see it up out of the hand. You pick up the spin a little bit late, and by the time you're already committed, that thing's coming in at the back foot. That's uncomfortable.
And the 0-2 pitch. Cardinals will have Arenado, Dickerson, and Young coming up. Their half of the fourth. A gorgeous day here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Tied him up, and Kisner chases that down. Tosses to Goldie, and a strikeout for Genesis Cabrera. Nolan Arenado doubled and scored his first time up. He's due up first when we come back. Year 2 of the Nolan Arenado era in St. Louis. Year 1 was pretty darn good, and he said, well, I wasn't real happy with it, but I'll take a Gold Glove, 28 homers, and drive in 104. That's not too shabby.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for Scott Rowland, and then 34 and 105 for Nolan Arenado. Yep. I mean, come on. And you're right, though. He wants more. He expects more, and it's not just the counting numbers. If you're a manager, you love that. You want a guy that just wants to be consistent day in and day out. And, you know, Dan, you got to know Nolan over the last couple of years. You get a chance to see him work, and the way that he goes about it, there is that just
intensity.
Diligence. Yeah, man.
Boy, oh boy.
He's always focused on getting better. There's no like halfway reps either in anything that he does. You don't see him like field the ground ball over at third and lob it over. Everything is a bullet across the diamond.
One of the great things about being back at the ballpark was visiting with Nolan briefly today and just getting an update how camp is going, how he feels, and the intensity, again, of which he goes about his business. Even your conversation with him is intense.
Kind of guys you like to have around, aren't they?
Big time.
Kind of guys that have that personality, rubs off on other players in the clubhouse.
The 1-2. Fouled back. Brian Helsley is getting loose in the St. Louis bullpen. Dealt with some arm issues and then knee surgery in the offseason, so that would be his first action, I believe, today in a game. So it looks like we'd see him in the 5th.
Yeah, glad to see him back out there, and I believe, at least if schedule remains the same, that we've got a good opportunity to see Giovanni Gallegos in a game tomorrow.
Put a piece of hitting there by Nolan Arenado. Shoots it between third and short, and he's 2 for 2 today. I think he was fooled a little bit, but still was able to keep the hands back and put it in play.
Put the ball in play, good things happen, don't they, Dan? You figure out a way just to get bat to ball. He finds himself a hole, still hits the ball fairly hard. Good breaking ball by Cavalli, and looks like that's going to be the end of the day for the #1 prospect of the Nationals. I was impressed by his stuff. He had that one inning where a lot got out of hand, but you can see the future is bright for Cavalli.
So Davey Martinez will go to his bullpen. And that is Sam Clay, the lefty, coming in. He'll take over when we come back.
But most importantly, you know, from the left side, he's done very well. So I think he'll fit in nicely. And, you know, it sort of touches on sort of that protection too, because when you look at our club, we were very confident or comfortable with what we had here, but you're really one injury away from all of a sudden having to take a step a little deeper than probably where you're comfortable going.
All right, that's John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations, and the signing of Corey Dickerson and what he brings to the St. Louis Cardinals. Picked up a base hit his first time up, and now it's a lefty-lefty matchup. Sam Clay was promoted to the Major League club at the end of last season, and the numbers suggest ground ball after ground ball from his minor league days with Minnesota, briefly with the Washington Nationals. Runner at first. That's fouled back.
But even though you pick up Dickerson because you want him against righties. I mean, that's the plan. You're going to put him there in a position to succeed against righties. You like to see him in matchups like this too. I mean, they're going to come throughout the season, especially if he's hot. You might just be running him in there. So you like that. And I love what Mo talked about with the presence there, the veteran compliment, Ollie singing his praises, how he's already helping out some of the younger guys. Just a good fit. This is a good just baseball signing. I know it wasn't the big name that was out there. This guy's going to help your club.
Internally, the Cardinals have talked about diminishing returns, if you will, when a player starts 7 straight games. So if they can get guys off their feet, they're going to try to do that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're out of the lineup, but if you can give Arenado a day or Goldie a day where they're off their feet but yet still in the batting order, you know, that's what the DH can do for teams that are flexible with that spot. And you'd have to think that they would probably mix and match a little bit. Dickerson, maybe a Juan Yepez, Goldie, Arenado, DeYoung, they get a day. Yep. Tyler O'Neill, whatever the case may be.
I think it provides another level, and it's about how do you use it, how do you best deploy it. And like you mentioned, the research with the 7 days, like, you got to be honest as a player. How am I feeling? What could I use? Because the key is 162.
And that is hit out of play. Runner at first is Nolan Arenado. So under 2 weeks away from opening day, and you wonder if guys like Arenado, Goldie, some of the other regulars will stay in these games just a bit longer than you might expect in a normal spring training, just to get them ready to go.
Yeah, I think that these are the ones where the veteran player is going to tell you what he needs. So if they go to Ollie and say, look, I want to play 7, or I want to get 3, 4 at bats in the game, he's going to end up making it happen.
It's sharply to first, and they throw it away into left field. They stepped on the bag, and you know what? This is a play that we have seen before. By stepping on the bag, it is not a force. You take away that force. Now Goldie, we saw it last year a couple of times on this type of play where he knows he has time to get the force at second, then keep the force in play at first, and he did not do that. So Arenado is alive.
Yeah, right.
All you had to do is tag him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what the thought process is right there. As soon as you hit the bag, that guy is coming back to you right now. All you do is drop the glove. That's just one of those brain farts right there. Happens, Dan.
It does.
You'd like it to happen in spring training as opposed to the regular season.
Well, that's where they go, and he'll come in the dugout, and you talk about those situations. And it's being talked about in the Cardinals dugout as well, I'm sure. Now it's DeYoung with Bader to follow, and a strike. DeYoung picked up an RBI single back in the 2nd inning. Nothing to the count. Where will the pitching come from in 2022 for the Nationals? Is Steven Strasburg is still hurt. Thoracic outlet syndrome. He had surgery last July. Remember, he signed the extension after they won the World Series. It was 7 years, $245 million in December of 19, and it's been tough for him to stay on the field.
I'm not sure he's had even 30 innings since he ended up signing that, and it's something where he knows himself. He's not going to rush in.
Ground ball hit to third, could be two, the turn, and a double play. 5-4-3. Cardinals get a base hit from Nolan Arenado, left stranded. We move to the fifth. The Cardinals 5K presented by Bally Sports Midwest. You can run in person on April 16th or choose the virtual run format. You'll receive an exclusive half zip and commemorative medallion paying tribute to Bob Gibson. It benefits Redbird rookies and girls on the run. Sign up now at cardinals.com/5K. 3-2 our score, top of 5. Verhagen went 3 for the Cardinals. Cabrera scoreless 4th, and now Ryan Helsley, who had career high marks in appearances, 51 last year, innings, strikeouts, wins, and he was sensational with inherited runners. First in all of baseball at 12.9%. So he was very, very good with runners on, and he'll get a clean inning to start. The 27-year-old Ryan Helsley as Parra pops one foul. We're underway here in the 5th.
We were talking earlier about the mix at the back end of the bullpen. We've seen Helsley there. Helsley, a couple of years ago, he really only had one thing. He had the fastball that he could throw, but anything that was spinning out of his hand, you could really give up on as a hitter because you knew he just didn't have the ability to throw it for a strike over and over. Well, he's really worked on developing that cutter, and the cutter is a nice secondary pitch for him. It takes people off his fastball a bit. I think it's a very beneficial pitch, and it's really going to help him in that late inning mix. A bigger breaking ball there.
Count of 1 ball and 1 strike. And the next by Ryan Helsley. Parra's first time up. Grounded out to first. And that pitch taken inside. So the Nationals last year 65 wins, and then they really dismantled their club. So many trades, and it happened quickly. Mike Rizzo, the GM of the Nats, dealt Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, Yan Gomes, John Lester came to St. Louis, Brad Hand, Josh Harrison, Kyle Schwarber, Daniel Hudson. All those deals, partner, were done in a span of 30 hours.
Isn't that nuts?
Crazy.
I mean, that is a wholesale change. Everybody had to wear name tags once they ended up getting back after this trade deadline. But I mean, sometimes you get to a point where you realize, all right, well, this is what we got to do. We've got some assets. We got to end up building towards the future. I'm really interested to see what they do and what their return on these trades ends up being. Juan Soto is one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
And there were reports that he's already turned down a massive deal.
Yes, it's a line into right field, but there's Carlson to make the catch.
But what do you build around him? Like how do you build this team so he wants to stay and continue to be a part of it? Now he's still got a couple of years of arbitration. He's one of those lucky ones, Dan, that gets that 4th year of arbitration. I believe he's making $17 million this year in his 2nd year of arbitration. He's got 2 more years before they get there, but Juan Soto is one of those guys that I could see him wanting to play for a team that's got a chance to compete. Certainly the Nationals could build that again.
So can they extend a position player? They have not had success with that. You think about Trey Turner, Rendon, Bryce Harper.
I was surprised the Rendon didn't get done. I really thought that was going to happen.
And he's now with the Angels, and one of the biggest contracts for any position player in terms of average salary during the year.
That was an interesting pivot for the Angels, wasn't it? They were in on Garrett Cole, in on all this pitching, and they say, you know what? Well, we'll just give $200+ million to Rendon. Then.
Yeah. There's Riley Adams, homered to deep center field his first time up. And the 1-0. 1 ball and 1 strike. It really has been one of the big, points of talk around the Nationals in their camp, and it's about, can they get Juan Soto to stay? And whether or not those reports were true in terms of the big money that he was offered, did he turn it down, and does he want to stay? So it's a generational type player and hitter that you want to keep, obviously.
I know there are a lot of people, Dan, that can't stand the Soto shuffle. I kind of dig it. I like the intensity that he comes with every single at-bat, every pitch that Soto has. That's annoying when it's against your team.
Yeah.
Chances are he's Soto shuffling all his way to a 3-for-4 day with a couple of doubles and a bomb.
Adams came over from Toronto in the Brad Hand deal. Breaking ball and a strike. Spent his entire professional career with the Blue Jays and now with Washington.
We were talking a second ago about that cutter. That's one right there that you need to be able to have when you're behind an account. Just something with spin on it that you can throw for a strike.
And the count runs full on Riley Adams with Gordon on deck. The 3-2 pitch by Ryan Helsley, and he walked him. So 1-out walk, and it brings in Gordon. There's so many people around the game that thought we were going to see the changes, whether it be with a pitch clock, larger bases, take away the shift. Now it could be in play this time next year. You in favor of any of those?
The more and more, like the bases, I'm fine with that, whatever. There's a lot of bang plays out there, Dan, that maybe it creates a little bit more offense. Talk about health wise too, you got a little bit more bag to slide to. Fine, I'm fine with that. The shift one is the one that I've gone back and forth so many times in my head. My initial thought is, hey, you got a wide open left side, learn how to hit there, right? Take advantage of the opportunity that you're given. But first of all, these pitchers are pretty darn good, and most of the time they're not pitching you, so you can just fillet something the other way. And two, you're not necessarily incentivized to do so. We're paying these guys for doubles and home runs, right, Dan? So
yeah,
like it's hard to tell a player, hey, weak ground ball the other way, that's going to get it done. And I know it sounds like a selfish thing, but when you're hitting the ball out of the ballpark, that's where you end up making your money. And honestly, teams aren't asking you to change, so their numbers must be telling you, their metrics are saying, hey, this is still the way to go about it, is to hit those doubles, hit the home runs into the shift.
Up the middle and past the diving shortstop DeYoung and into center, and a base hit for D. Gordon. So walking now, a base hit, and the batter will be Victor Robles.
What about you, Dan, when you're looking at some of these different changes? What are you in favor?
I'm all for it.
All of them?
Yeah, I think that baseball, and I understand, has been played forever, and we're slow to change. But I think at this point, because the players have changed, we need to change with it. And, you see some of the numbers, especially with the shift. Now, they're glaring about how many, it was like over 5,000 hits were taken away last year because of a shift. There's been studies done, though, that say even if you eliminated the shift, the rise in offense would be minimal. So I'm not sure if that's going to be beneficial or not. I think, though, you can limit it. I do like the larger bags because these guys on both sides, Davey Martinez and Ali Marmol, I mean, they've got it down to a science of how hard the guy throws, his time to the plate, the pop-up time to the catcher, and how he throws.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about,
just a fraction of a second.
Yeah. And if you gave that 3 inches, that foot or hand gets in there, maybe you entice people to run more or hit and run. I think that you could do it. I don't think it's a bad thing for change.
Yeah, so here's my thing with it, too. We see other leagues do this. It's okay to change something and then admit you were wrong.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball doesn't really do that. Like, you go do something, try it for a year, and go back to the table, say, boys, we didn't like it. Let's get rid of it.
Robles pops it up to the right side. Foul territory, playable. And Goldschmidt the catch. Well, if you follow different levels of minor league baseball, and I love watching it, you will have the expanded pitch clock at low A West. You're going to have larger bases at all full season levels in the minor leagues, so that's coming. You've got the restrictions on the shift. That'll be at double A, high A, low A, and then you will have robot umps at different parts and times at different levels to see if they can work that out too.
Where are you at on that one?
I go back. That's the one I do go back and forth with. But
that's a strike. Robot ump would have had it.
Yes, there are times when I watch a strike zone and I say, bring it on. Especially with certain umpires.
Oh, well, it's thinning out a little bit. I still like the human element for some. Maybe I just want something to complain about, I guess.
And a soft liner that's caught by Goldschmidt. So the Nationals strand a pair, and we're midway through 5. Bader, Kisner, and Gorman coming up in a 1-run game. Cardinals spring training coverage continues on Bally Sports Midwest tomorrow. And it's the Marlins and the Cards at noon. Spring training on Bally Sports Midwest. And let's go now to our Budweiser What's on Tap. So we've got the Marlins tomorrow. We'll have it for you. The remaining games down here in the Grapefruit League is the lockout made it go to a schedule that is very condensed and just playing teams around your area. So the Cardinals playing the Mets. They'll be at Port St. Lucie on Sunday. Mets will come here. You've got the Nationals, you got the Astros, and you share the complex with the Marlins, and those are the teams you face in spring training.
Yeah, these games mean a lot. The innings mean a lot. Every at-bat out there. Got to take advantage of it.
Mason Thompson, right-hander, any relation?
I'll let you know in an inning. We'll see. We'll see if the family will claim him.
So he is the new pitcher. He's got a mouth guard out there. He's biting, grunting.
Gotta make sure you breathe. It helps you breathe.
Is that what it is?
I should have gotten a mouth guard back in the day.
Think that would have helped?
Forgot to. No, probably not.
Harrison Bader has a double that scored 2 back in the second inning. Mason Thompson pitched with the San Diego Padres. And last year, part of the deal with Daniel Hudson, as Bader taps one foul, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Out of Round Rock, Texas, 24-year-old. In the major leagues, he's 1-3 with an ERA just above 4. A shift on the left side, and the 1-1 ripped out to left, and Bader is 2 for 2.
Well, the hands of Harrison Bader, just how quick that swing is. He's quiet in the box, and then the hands just come whipping through. So his first at bat, he drives a double right center. This one slices it right through that left side. He looks good. Dan, we were watching him during batting practice. I don't think people understand how strong Harrison Bader is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is driving just lasers, and not like he's trying to hit home runs or anything. He's hitting doubles in the gaps, just shooting it off the wall. Incredibly strong, good approach.
So Bader, your runner at first base, and now Andrew Kisner. I was talking with Harrison before the game, who would be back at 4th in St. Louis. He went and surprised a grade school. Just showed up and said, hey, how you guys doing?
Anybody need a PE teacher?
Yeah.
I can do that.
I'm here. He was the Grand Marshal at Mardi Gras. He said, I've never been to any Mardi Gras. He said, I've never done that. He said, that was so much fun. He said, I just loved it. And then we had an announcement that I was emceeing for the Ascension Charity Classic, which has raised millions of dollars for North County, and it's coming back this year. And Harrison Bader pops into the press conference. He's friends with some of the guys that run it, organize it, some of the local dignitaries there, and he's become friends with them. And he said, you know, one of the things, and he said this, I didn't even bring it up. He said, you know, one of the things that was awful about the lockout was that, you know, we didn't have a fan fest, and we couldn't be around the fans really because there was nothing organized to come in and have a winter warm-up as Kisner strikes out Bader back in safely. He said, so I just took it upon myself to go back and show my face and tell people we appreciate you, and that's who he is. I mean, he's a good dude.
Yeah, fans appreciate that. I feel like a lot of time Harrison Bader, you see him out there, you see the long hair, he gets on second base, he's got the antics. Man, he loves baseball.
Yep.
And he works so hard. He's got natural talent for sure, but he works on it day in and day out. You love seeing him in the community. It's a great thing.
There is Nolan Gorman. Gorman getting a extended look at second base today. One of the things he did last year, he cut down his strikeout rate from 32% to 22%. And he made significant jumps on the top prospect rankings. In one of them, he jumped over 40 spots. So in many of those rankings, take him for what you will, but he's in the top 50, top 30. And there are some believe that you're looking at a guy that eventually, when it all gets done, you know, 35 to 40 home runs a season. I mean, that's the kind of power he possesses.
Well, I think about that adjustment, the cutting down the strikeouts at the rate that he did. He's 21 years old. He is still learning how to hit at this level, still trying to figure himself out, figure the swings out. And I thought it was really telling and a great sit down with Ollie. Ollie talked about sitting down with Nolan Gorman this morning, just talking about camp and how things are going. And Nolan has been pressing, and he's trying to do too much. He's got an opportunity in this camp. If he tears it up, maybe he's a part of things on opening day. Sometimes you got to take that step back and say, all right, let's let the talent play. Quit putting pressure on myself.
The 2-1 pitch to Nolan Gorman. We were talking about the shift, and I'm going to throw something. You may think I'm crazy when I say this, but there's guys like Nolan Gorman that have dealt with the shift. I've talked to him about this since they were like in 8th grade and then had it in high school, and they're part of the elite traveling baseball team. So you're talking about great players throughout the states.
Big lefty, shift them.
Exactly. So they have been used to it, as opposed to, say, Matt Carpenter, who got it at the tail end of his career. Carp now with the Texas Rangers. But I just wonder if there's a wave of young players that will know how to deal with the shift. Slowly hit, and Gorman safe at first, so they'll get the lead man.
Yeah, I still wonder, though, even at that level, does your approach change at all? Or is it continue, let's just slam the ball right through it? Because that's what we're seeing at the major league level is when your power stroke is your power stroke, your best swing is being able to pull the ball. Not to say you shouldn't be a complete hitter. You should be able to drive the ball the other way. But if that guy's pitching you in, it still makes sense to try to put your best swing on it.
And now it's Dylan Carlson in the leadoff spot in the lineup today for Ali Marmol. Struck out his first time up and also flied to left. Runner at first, and 2 down, and a shift on the right side. And time is called. Cardinals with a right-hander getting loose in their bullpen. I believe that is Andre Palante, and if you haven't seen this young man, make sure you stick around. You might be seeing him a lot more, not down here, but up north.
Yeah, Dan, you didn't full-on tell Ollie, but you and I basically put him on the roster already. Now that carries zero weight, absolutely none. But
we like him.
That's how good he looked.
He finished off the game the other day against the Marlins.
Not sure he threw a pitch under 98 with a wicked breaking ball.
There's a couple of guys that have really opened eyes in terms of pitching. That's one of them, Palante, and also Jake Walsh.
Yeah, Ollie mentioned Jake Walsh by name. Also another guy that throws triple digits, good feel for a breaking ball, also has a good changeup. Had a rocky stat line the other day, ended up giving up 5.
Love that stroke by Dylan Carlson with the base hit into center, and it gets away. And Nolan Gorman will wind up at third. That'll be a base hit and an error on the center fielder Robles. And the Cardinals have runners at first and third, and Paul Goldschmidt coming up.
No such thing as a bad hop really in that outfield out there. That's just misplayed in center field. Robles really trying to get rid of those last couple of years. Offensively, he had his struggles in 20 and 21. This one just, he catches it in between hops. Heads up by Gorman, keeping his eye on him. As soon as that kicks away, you know you've got a chance.
Goldschmidt is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Runners at first and third. The outfield deep. Gets away. And a run will score. That's Nolan Gorman. And the Cardinals lead it 4-2. A wild pitch, and so the error does come back to cost the Washington Nationals.
Ends up spiking that fastball. By the way, of no relation. Thompson on the mound.
Oh, I got you. Some eerily similar traits to you in this Thompson.
Oh, this one throws harder.
Wild pitches.
We'll see if he breaks anything on his way in.
I asked you today, as we were commiserating with a couple of members of the media, I said, now, Brad, is it true that you knocked yourself out at Fenway Park? And you confirmed the story. They didn't believe it.
Yeah. I ran out of stuff to hit. I told you, Dan. It was just one of those things where I used to have anger issues. Don't have them anymore. I'm a pretty happy guy now.
Very happy.
Yeah, all the time.
Goldie goes down to get it, hits it down the left field line, and it is foul. And not by much.
Yeah, that one is close. But yeah, had a rocky day, Dan, now that you bring it up, in Boston.
You were pitching for the Royals.
Yeah, Big Poppy, David Ortiz basically sealed my day with a 3-run bomb to center field. That was about it for me. I think I gave up 6 in, I don't know, an inning plus, and just ran out of stuff to hit in the locker room. Decided I sat down and I gave myself a good one. Just right.
And you really did.
Yeah. And
right on the temple there.
Yeah, real quick, just kind of blacked out for a second. Came back, and I've told you, and I kind of joke about it, but still don't know. I don't know if I hit that hard or I can't take a punt. I don't know.
2 strikes on Paul Goldschmidt. That's taken for a ball to even it up at 2-2.
The moral of the story is, kids, harness your emotions.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's stupid. Because all you do is
Have you told your kids that story?
Oh, no, my kids have horrible attitudes.
Do they?
No, I'm not kidding. No, they're great.
Runner at second and a 2-2 pitch to the Cardinal first baseman. Full count, O'Neill on deck. The Nationals are looking at Patrick Corbin, Josiah Gray. They picked up from the Dodgers. They've got Eric Fetty back, Anibal Sanchez, Josh Rogers being potentially in the rotation. So it's a rebuild, I would think, for sure.
Yeah, it is for sure. It's a big year for Eric Fetty, too. I believe he's a free agent after this year, first rounder a few years back. Really looking to just kind of grab a hold of something over there.
3-2 hit sharply past the shortstop and into left. And scoring easily, it's Dylan Carlson, and Goldie, good base running. He winds up at second base. We've seen now a couple of examples of very good base running in this game. Corey Dickerson and now Goldie.
Yeah, it's good base running, and it's a bad decision by D. Strange Gordon in left field. You're not going to get Carlson at the plate on this play. You're not going to get it. This ball gets too late. He's already at the bag. You're not going to get him. So why make that throw and allow Goldie to get to second base?
How about the finish there by D. Strange Gordon with the flip?
Well, that's a throw. The decision bad, the execution okay.
That'll be it for Paul Goldschmidt. And Yepes will take over for Goldie. He's your pinch runner. And here is Tyler O'Neill with Arenado on deck. O'Neill, hot shot to third. Adrianza got him with a good pick at first on the other side. Urania. They take an extra base hit and an RBI away from Tyler O'Neill. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Valley Sports Midwest is brought to you by Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters. By Car Shield. Car Shield, cars go farther. And by Plaza Tire Service. Excited to see this young man pitch again, Andre Palante. So picked up in 2019, obviously missed all of 2020, was not added to the satellite camp, and last season skipped over both levels of Class A. So he makes the Double-A roster and saw a little time at Triple-A, then went to the Arizona Fall League after Jordan Hicks left and became an Arizona Fall League All-Star. Throws hard, slider, curve, and has been impressive so far in this camp.
Yeah, he really has. He threw the other day. We were doing the game against the Marlins, came in pumping strikes 98, 99, and that's something that velocity really jumped in the last year for Palante. He's got a good feel for the off speed.
Alcides Escobar. 1 ball and 1 strike. Nope, they're going to say that was a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Escobar is 0 for 2.
About those robot umps, Dan.
Bring him in. Now we're ready for him.
It's probably down, but still.
And a 2-0 pitch to Escobar. Goes down to get it and slices it foul down the right field line.
The thing with Palante, with the ability, as you mentioned, he's been starting in the minor leagues. This is another guy that he could be an added element to your bullpen. He could give you multiple innings, be able to bridge a different kind of a gap. It's a great opportunity for him here.
Also, you have the expanded rosters.
Yep.
So really, I would think that's more in line to make sure that you're protected on the pitching side. So beginning the season, it was voted upon by front office members or across Major League Baseball and talked about a bunch, but we will have 28 on a roster to begin the season. 3-1 pitch. Popped up. Yepes, who took over for Goldie, over to make the catch in the first out. McDonald's Ticket Fest. It is back for 2022 and celebrate the legendary Cardinal battery mates Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina. Limited time. Purchase tickets for April and May as low as $4.50 for the all-inclusive tickets. $4 tickets, $50 all-inclusive. Cardinals.com/ticketfest. Good matchup here. Nelson Cruz against Palante. Nelson Cruz just seems to not age. He just keeps putting up big numbers.
He does, and everywhere he goes, we talked to him about him a little bit earlier. He's such a good teammate. He brings the most out of every clubhouse that he's in. It's a good presence in the middle of an order.
1 ball and 1 strike.
Good pitch right there, though, to get right back into it. You spike the pitch beforehand and stay back, stay within yourself. You don't think about, oh, this is Nelson Cruz, he can hurt me. You think about, let's stay back and make 1 pitch right here.
And the 1-1. Uncomfortable swing there with that late movement.
That's a good slider that started middle and ended away. So Cruz knows he's going to have to be geared up for 97, 98. He sees it out of the hand middle. He's thinking fastball, and it's too late.
One ball and 2 strikes on Nelson Cruz. Next from Palante. Hit out of play.
So he went 97 away right there. I'd like to see Palante, if he could throw that slider again. Start it middle away, let it go off the plate. I think that you can get him swinging.
See what he comes with here. There it is. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout of Nelson Cruz.
It's just a perfect pitch right there. You set him up really well and came back in this at-bat well. He spiked the first pitch to Cruz, but got right back into the count with a good breaking ball. Challenged him with a fastball and finishes him with a good hard breaking ball away.
So 2 outs here in the Nats half of the 6th. Richard Urania, first baseman today for Washington, is grounded to first and grounded out to second. 0 for 2. First pitch drops in for his strike. This guy's got some pretty good stuff, partner.
That is good feel. That is good feel. When you can steal a strike with a big breaking ball, Urania's not up there looking to hit a hammer breaking ball for a strike. He's looking to get a fastball, see something up in the zone. Now all of a sudden Palante's in the driver's seat.
The 0-1. Went back to it again. Nothing in 2. All right, so 0-2. He's shown 2 breaking balls. What's he come with here?
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing him elevate, throw a fastball up in the zone, get his eyes off that plane to finish him with the breaking ball again.
Two outs, nobody on, no balls, 2 strikes. Next pitch by Palante. Good pitch.
Ends up tying him up right there. Was trying to elevate that fastball, though. Was trying to go up to see if he could change that eye level, but there was not much you're going to do with that in your kitchen.
You know, Brad, there's some things that analytics hasn't changed, which is up and in, nasty breaking ball, go up and in on somebody, then
it plays, right?
Yeah. Middle, outer half, the next pitch. Change the eye level. The 0-2. Just missed. One ball and 2 strikes. Kisner flashing the signs. Tapped foul. A beautiful day here at Roger Dean. Sun is shining brightly and a nice crowd on hand. Expecting big crowds this weekend. The 1-2. Fly ball into left near the line, and it is a foul ball. Looking at the umpire, he kind of gave a half measure, as almost to say it was foul, but looks to be a bloop that drops in for the double in front of Brendan Donovan.
Donovan gave it everything he had. He had to range a long way to get to this thing and hung up in the air for a while, but just couldn't corral it. I thought he had it initially.
Yeah, clearly a fair ball, and Donovan, who's primarily an infielder, the Cardinals are giving him a run all over the diamond. They want to see if he can play left, right, maybe even center. There's been some talk of that, but he's a left-handed bat too.
You know what else he's done? It hasn't been in a game yet, but he's played a little first. He's taken some ground balls over at first base as well. That versatility could serve him well.
Kept in front by Kisner. Avery Adrianza at the plate. Switch hitter, 0 for 2 today. And the 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. Good pitch in on a 2-0, 2 balls and 1 strike.
So 2-0 fastball count. You know the hitter's going to be geared up for it, so can you locate it? He's looking for something out over the plate that he can get extended on and drive it, drive somewhere out in the outfield. That's that good hard fastball, 97 miles an hour, but it's located in. I like the ability glove side to spot the baseball for Palante.
And the 2-1 pitch. 2-2. What'd you find was the biggest adjustment once you get to double or triple A to get over the hump and become a big leaguer?
Well, I think that the hitters are, once you make that jump to double
chase,
A,
right? No,
yeah, they're so much better, and especially when you get to triple A. Guys that have been back and forth to the big leagues, they have a great idea of what they're doing. In A-ball, everybody's still trying to figure themselves out, but the hitters have a better approach.
Swing and a miss, and he struck him out. Couple of strikeouts for Palante and another scoreless inning. Spring Training 2022. Glad that you're with us. Telecast presented by authority of the Cardinals, not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Great to have you along with Brad Thompson. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Andres Machado is the new pitcher for the Washington Nationals. He has had big league time with the Kansas City Royals and now has found a home with Washington in our Chevy Call to the Pen. Nolan Arenado, pair of hits today. Double and a single. And the first pitch to him. Taken for a ball low. Corey Dickerson on deck. And then we'll see Paul DeYoung. Two balls and no strikes. We have just a handful of games left down here, and then April 7th, the season and home opener for the Cardinals at Busch Stadium, as the Pirates will be in town. You were talking about this earlier, how they had to rearrange the first week of the schedule as Arenado hits one into left. That'll stay in the ballpark as the catch is made. Some of the oohs and ahs is that big swing by Nolan, but if you look at the tail end of the season, so there's a couple of doubleheaders against the Cubs, but then I think it's either 6 or 7 games that you wrap up in a row against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I believe it's 3 at home and then 3 on the road that you end up making up for. So, look, I could think of worse ways to end the season, and that's with all due respect to what the Pirates are trying to rebuild right now. But if you're in a tight race, which you very well could be, the Brewers, that pitching staff is legit. I think they've made some decent moves over there. Could be a good way to end it.
And who knows who would be left from Pittsburgh at that point in time, if there's some parts that they could trade off to potentially, think about the future. It's still in a rebuild mode. Ben Cherington.
How would you handle Brian Reynolds over there? Brian Reynolds is a really good player. You'd love to be able to kind of build some pieces around him, but you also know that they're probably not going to do too much buying.
I think you still, when you're trying to rebuild, you've got to have some steady veterans. They've got to be a part of it.
Somebody needs to show you the way.
Exactly. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2 on Dickerson, signed late and now in camp, and we've talked about his ability to play the outfield, multiple positions. Has won a Gold Glove, will get a lot of time, it looks like, at DH. At one point he said, okay, I'm not hitting for power, so hit for power, but then the average dropped, and then vice versa. We'll see what the Cardinals get out of him this year. You sacrifice one for the other.
Well, sometimes too, we saw Joey Votto do this. Sometimes you gotta, what are you lacking? What are you lacking as a team, or what adjustment can you make? I'm not saying that Dickerson is Joey Votto and just gonna flip a switch and automatically hit all these bombs again, But when you know your swing well enough, you know what you need to do to kind of tailor make it.
Dickerson wearing that familiar number 25. It's hard to see that number and not think about Big Mac.
Looks a little different on Dickerson than it did on Big Mac.
I'd say so. Body types are just a little different.
Just a tad.
Although Corey is put together. I didn't realize he's as big as he is as we saw him down on the field and shagging flies. And that's it out of play. My understanding is, by the way, speaking of Cardinal Hall of Famers or just Hall of Famers in general, I think every one of them is coming back with the exception for opening day of Tony La Russa.
What has he got going on?
With the White Sox. And I think there was still maybe a question mark about Joe Torre. But other than that, everybody should be in town. And away we go at the Clydesdales and that parade of red jackets, which is always a special day.
Dan, do you know off the top of your head how many opening days this is going to be for you?
Oh, boy. Well, this is my 25th year with the telecast, so at least 25. And I don't remember as a kid if I went to an opening day. I should have remembered that.
You would think.
Yeah.
But
a lot of memorable moments at the ballpark.
Of course. Of course.
How many for you?
The thing, and well, I've done a few as a broadcaster, had multiple as a player. It doesn't get old.
No.
Like, there's something magical to it where you feel like, okay, every year, opening day, this could be something special.
There's John Mozeliak, and talking with Mo, he said, you know, getting to the point where he said, if you've been in baseball a long time, he said, this time of spring is when, you know, your body clock, if you will, he said, tells you we need to be going north. He said, he goes, I would think that a lot of the players are feeling this way where let's go, even though it's a short and condensed spring training. But John's been down here for a long time. Here is Paul DeYoung. I've told the story before, but one of the best memories of opening day I have is working with Tim McCarver, and he was on the game that day with me, and Lou Brock, God rest his soul, was still with us, and Lou put away the cane and the walker and walked out to his spot among the Hall of Famers. And it's ripped down in the corner by DeYoung. He's got a couple of hits today, and he's 2 for 3. And it was an emotional moment because Lou had been through so much physically, and I looked over at Tim, and he had tears coming down his cheeks. That's his buddy. That's his teammate. And it meant so much for him to see Lou do what he did. It's those kind of things you remember. Good to see Paulie D swinging the bat well.
Yeah, it really is. And it was something Ollie said about Paul. He said he's convicted to have a great season. Like, he's not just thinking it's going to happen, not just believing it. Like, he's doing everything he can and putting all that work in. We know Sosa came in and did a really nice job for this ball club last year. And as a starter, he hit almost 300. He got on base. He did a lot of things well. But you know the threat that Paul DeYoung can be in this lineup.
Kramer Robertson now the runner at second, and this is Scott Hurst. Hitting for Bader had a good day. He was 2 for 2 with a single, a double, and drove in 2. One thing you get out of Scott Hurst, and we've seen this, he had a brief call up last year. Defensively, he is outstanding. I mean, he is not overmatched at this level at all. He's above average. We've seen that in center field.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you can plug anywhere in the outfield, feel very confident that he's going to get the job done for you.
Nothing in 2 the count, and the next to Hurst, taken for a ball. Hurst was called up when the Cardinals were in Washington. And a swing and a miss and a strikeout. That will end the 6th inning. Cardinals have a lead. After 6, it's 5-2. Reminder that the Hall of Fame ballot is open for you at cardinals.com/HOF. Edgar Renteria, George Hendrick, Steve Carlton, Matty Moe, and Matt Holliday. Presented by Edward Jones. Get your votes in. New pitcher is Freddie Pacheco. He's 5'11", 220 pounds. He'll turn 24 the middle of April. And last year, he made it all the way up to Memphis. Pitched in a couple of games. Started at Peoria. Then was at Springfield and jumped all the way up to AAA. It's our Chevy call to the pen.
Well, Dan, if you like strikeouts, Pacheco's probably your guy. He strikes out the world. Last year, 95 strikeouts. 95 in 54 innings. Are you kidding me? I mean, that is... It's the highest clip of anybody in the Cardinals minor league system, and he's actually held that moniker for 3 years. Did so in 2018, 19, and then in 21.
And he is a strike thrower. So in his time, which began in 2018, did not play, obviously, no minor league season in 20. He's got 241 strikeouts in 143 innings. So to further your point, you know, this is a strikeout guy. We'll see if that plays, though, as the competition gets even better. And doesn't walk many. I mean, he had at Peoria 20 walks in 24 games. Not necessarily great, but as he's progressed, they talk about his command getting better and better and better. 3 balls, 1 strike on Parra, and it's now a full count.
As you progress, too, you realize as a pitcher, the strike zone shrinks more and more. Yeah, for sure it does. Well, especially when you get to the big league level. You get to the big league level, you'll throw a pitch that was a strike in AAA, and you don't get the call here. I mean, the one like just off the corner. These umpires, for as much as we give them trouble, they're really good at what they do.
Parra hits it out of play. He's 0 for 2 with a ground out and a line out. Pacheco was part of the international free agent class of 2017 from Venezuela. And a 3-2 pitch to Parra. Got him to chase, and there's your strikeout. That's how we begin play here in the 7th inning.
It's a good 4-seam fastball. That's letter high right there. Parra believes he can get to it. He can't.
Well, we've seen Verhagen for 3, Cabrera, Helsley, Palante, and now Pacheco. So 1 out, nobody on. Riley Adams, who is homered today, homered back in the 3rd and walked in the 5th. Cardinals and the Marlins tomorrow. We'll have it for you here on Bally Sports Midwest. The 0-1 pitch. Smoked out to left, and his 2nd home run of the day. Making a case is Riley Adams. Had not had a hit this spring, and he picks up 2 today, and both have been home runs.
This is another center cut fastball. It's 94 miles an hour off of the, you know, just right there from Pacheco. Served it in there. Riley seeing the ball well.
And it brings in D. Strange Gordon. And a breaking ball taken low. Running out of room to get that name on the back.
You got to make sure when you get dressed you don't tuck that thing in too far.
Exactly. Here's a 1-0. Ground ball. Mishandled by Yepez, and with the speed of Gordon, no way to get him. That'll be an error on Juan Yepez.
That's part of it. We were talking about this a little bit earlier in the broadcast. Ollie Marmol has talked about Juan Yepez, and yes, the idea is the bat is what gets you on the roster sometimes. But for him, it's about working diligently to become competent over and good over at first base, working in the outfield a little bit. He was putting in a bunch of work earlier today. Paul Goldschmidt helping him out. And it was great to see that kind of mentorship from Goldie of, you know, how he attacks balls, what he's thinking in different situations. One that he wanted back there. It looks like he weighted back on that ball a little bit too much. Something I got a feeling, Dan, that he and Goldie might talk about tomorrow.
Sure. John Nogowski, when he was with the Cardinals, and remember he made a little splash at the beginning of last season, but he talked about how helpful Paul Goldschmidt was to him. He said, you know, you think you've got these superstars, and he mentioned Nolan Arenado, and they are. They're the greats in the game. That are they approachable? And he said Goldie is approachable as any guy he'd ever been around in terms of just trying to help him out and some of the finer points, especially defensively. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Robles. 2 balls and no strikes. We were talking about it the other day. These minor leaguers missed all of 2020, and how some guys took advantage of it, and for others it was a stunting of their growth as a baseball player. I mean, it's just take away a full season. It's tough to get that back.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a year. This is a game too where your age means a lot. You get to a certain point, it's like, okay, well, at 25 he should be this, or at 27 or at 30, boy, we can't sign this guy to a contract. That was a year of development that is gone, and a lot of guys don't have the assets that some have. Maybe you got a first rounder who could go to this facility, do whatever he wants. Maybe you got a kid that signed for $1,000 that had to go get a job because he didn't have one. Like, that is it's a very difficult thing, and I don't know if we're going to see fully what the ramifications are of this. You know, maybe we see it in a couple of years what it looks like, and I realize every organization had to go through it, but it stinks, man.
Yeah.
It's tough for these guys.
Count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Robles. Gordon, your runner at first, started towards second base and then stopped. Ivan Herrera is the new catcher behind the plate. And Herrera saw time at AAA, limited last year, but high hopes for that young man behind the plate. I think he's going to be a good one. He's thrown out 32% of base stealers in 4 years of professional baseball. That's pretty darn good.
It is good. And he swings the bat well, has a good idea of what he's doing at the plate. I feel like he receives well, still working diligently at that aspect of it.
And the 3-1 hit him. So following the home run was the error on Yepez, and now a hit batter back to the top of the lineup. Runners at first and second, and the go-ahead run will come to the plate.
Catches Robles right off that elbow guard that he's got. Mike Maddox going to go down, talk to Pacheco, slow him down a little bit. See if he can get him a ground ball. I know he's a strikeout guy. We went over the numbers, got himself a punch out in the inning, but now's the time. Low in the zone, get yourself a ground ball.
I heard Mike Maddox got another hole-in-one this offseason.
Come on.
I'm serious. Yep. I need to catch up with him and ask him about it. I gotta wonder if he's like playing mini golf or something. That's like 7 or 8.
He's just not telling anybody what course it is.
Yeah.
It was a par 3.
Yeah.
Ish.
That's unbelievable.
It is. You ever have one?
I have not had one. And my son, I play a lot of golf with him. He's already had 2. Maybe 3, but definitely 2. I was there for one of them. I know for sure he had another one, my son Luke, and he just turned 16. So I mean, come on.
You've played way more golf than
Exactly.
Luke.
I should have one by now.
I would think so.
And you?
No, gosh, no. If I hit the fairway, I'm pretty happy. We've golfed together before. You know that I have not got a hole-in-one.
I liked your swing. It was a very aggressive, I'd say athletic swing.
Yeah, if we're playing in a scramble and there's a dog leg right, I'm your guy.
Yeah. That is well hit into deep right field, at the wall and off the wall. One run will score. Robles held up at third, and it cuts into the St. Louis lead. It's now 5-4. So Cesar Hernandez, who is a homer today, now an RBI double, and Pacheco in trouble.
Well, smart, aggressive approach by Hernandez. You got a pitcher that is on the ropes a little bit. He sees a pitch that's up in the zone. Don't let that go by. You know, put a good swing on it. That's exactly what he does.
Alcides Escobar with the infield brought in by Ali Marmol. The Cardinals leading 5-4 here in the top of the 7th. Runners at second and third. First pitch is popped up and out of play. We talk about it a lot. These are the times when you find out more about some of your young players that maybe Ali and his staff haven't seen.
Well, it's not that you want to get in spots like this. You'd love everybody to just have success, but you do learn a lot. And for Ali Marmol, it's not just about your pitcher too. I mean, you're bringing your defense in. Who gets tight in these spots? You're going to find out.
Oh boy.
Good job by Herrera to keep it in front. Also the confidence to bounce one with a runner at third. Representing the tying run. Go ahead run in scoring position at second base. So the infield in, outfield not very deep for Escobar. And a fly ball into shallow center. The catch is made. Yepes the cut, and there's two away. Big out there. Nelson Cruz with runners at second and third and two outs. He's over 3 with a pair of strikeouts. There's Scott Hurst, mentioned it earlier, the very good defensive player the Cardinals have in center. Remember that time, Brad, if there was one for you, but you're in the minor leagues or having a chance in spring training, and then all of a sudden a guy like Nelson Cruz, you hadn't faced that type of hitter. You hadn't been to the big leagues, but you were like, man, this is my chance to show them something. A little squibber hit to the right side, and Cruz will be retired.
It happens, and that's a confidence boost, right? You get that guy to hit that ball, that feels pretty good.
Time to stretch, and it's 5-4. Weiser plays of the game. Take you back to the second inning. It was Nolan Arenado and then Dickerson. Paul DeYoung, little flare into right. And St. Louis was on the board, and Bader would double here into the gap, and that would drive in a pair. The Budweiser plays of the game. Had a fun visit that inning too with that guy right there, Ali Marmol.
I think those two things went hand in hand, Dan.
You bet. Ivan Herrera. And the first pitch is a breaking ball and a strike. Herrera only 18 games at high A in 2019. There's the numbers on Patrick Murphy. He had 17 home runs in 99 games. And went to AAA at the very end of last season, so he's knocking on the door of big league baseball. Here's the 0-2 pitch. He is rated as the number 5 prospect by Baseball America. From Panama, Ivan Herrera.
Dan, it's going to be really interesting what it looks like after Yadier Molina. Whether it be Herrera, Andrew Kisner, they battle it out. It's just going to be a different look. You've had so much continuity. That's something I guess maybe we've taken for granted over the last 17 years because you just know what you have. That's such a big piece. I mean, think about the countless number of pitchers that Yadi has ushered through tough innings, young players, veterans that are trying to get back to where they were before. Yadi has been that calming presence no matter who is next. And I mentioned this the other day. It's no disrespect to Herrera. It's no disrespect to Kisner. You're just not going to be that guy. And that's okay. And don't try to be that guy either. You try to be Yadier Molina, you're going to find yourself not knowing who you are.
That's right. Here's Nolan Gorman. Hitless today. First pitch was a strike, 1 out, nobody on. Talk about the short stroke of Nolan Gorman, and that's one of the reasons that they feel that he cut down on strikeouts a year ago. Young man with tremendous power. In the hole here, 0-2. Cardinals have a right-hander throwing in their pen. Taken high, and it's 1-2.
Well, they've certainly given Nolan Gorman a lot of playing time. He's played in every game that they've had. They want to get looks at him, whether it's to crack the roster at the beginning of the season or just to get a better feel for him, see how he makes adjustments.
The 1-2. Out of play. Boy, we forget he's only 21. Won't be 22 until May 10th. 19th overall pick back in 2018. 14 home runs at Memphis last year. And on the season combined at Springfield and Memphis, he had 25.
Pretty good year.
Yep.
For, again, a player at that age, at those levels. I mean, he's playing against guys, most of the guys in that league 5-6 years older than he is.
The 2-2 and a strikeout of Gorman, and 2 outs here in the home half of the 7th. Connor Capel. Capel was part of the Oscar Mercado deal in 2018. And last year, almost the entire season was spent at AAA Memphis. He'll be 25 in early May. And a pitch taken high. Second time that he's been invited to big league camp, and here he is. Shift on the right side of the infield as Capel looks at a ball low and away. Two 2-0 the count. 5-4 St. Louis in the home half of the 7th. 2-1. Saw a video today of Matt Carpenter in Texas Ranger gear.
How did it look?
Different, to say the least. Mike Schilt, by the way, is now the third base coach for the San Diego Padres. That's well hit. Out to deep left, and it is caught near the wall as Capel gave it a ride. Cardinals go in order. We move to the 8th of spring training baseball here at Roger Dean. St. Louis on top by a run. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Chevrolet. And by Great Southern Bank. And by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. New pitcher is James Naile. N-A-I-L-E, Naile. Saw him pitch the other day against the Marlins out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, the 29-year-old. So he was primarily used as a starter with the A's in their organization and then went to relief in 2021. And trying to hold on and see if he can't get into the big leagues at some point.
That's all you got to do. You get opportunities like this. You think late in the spring training game, well, hey, what do these innings mean? They mean a lot for James Nail. It's the opportunity to make an impression here on this staff.
Andrew Stevenson, he's been with the Nationals for quite some time. At the plate, pops it up left side. And giving chase. It's out of play. Chevy called to the bullpen. James Nail. Brought to the Cardinals as a minor league free agent. Here's an 0-2 pitch. Ooh, good pitch. 1-2 the count. Well, the pitching has been, for the most part, pretty solid today for the Cardinals. Began with Verhagen, went 3 innings. Cabrera, Helsley, Palante, Pacheco, and now Nail.
James Nail probably happy to get out of Las Vegas pitching there the last couple of years. Ball flies out in Vegas. A little bit different out there.
Your hometown.
In thin air.
Yeah. Maybe you know what, if you're going to be a minor leaguer, though.
Oh, it's not a bad place to be. Well, and they've got a beautiful new ballpark too. They built out west, out by Red Rock. It is nice. But from a pitcher standpoint,
ain't pretty.
No. Put me somewhere else. Memphis be just fine. Trust me.
Two and two. So you're saying you went back and forth from Memphis and other clubs?
Just love the drive.
Did you?
There's something about it.
How many times do you think you made that?
A lot. I don't know. Multiple times a year, generally.
It happens.
Yeah, of course it does. I'd rather do that than other drives.
The 2-2. Got him to reach for it. Yepes backhand. Nail to the bag and the out. Well, it was our first look at Drew Verhagen today, and kind of the funky delivery, but effective, isn't it?
Well, really impressive, especially early on. He gave up a couple of home runs, a couple of solo shots. That breaking ball right there, he was able to throw that thing at will the first couple of innings, spotted up his fastball to both sides of the plate, elevated the four seam, threw the sinker down. I thought he looked really good, really confident. First inning, 7 pitches, 7 strikes. That's what you're looking for with this defense behind you, and he's got the stuff to back it up. I thought it was a very good outing for Drew Verhagen.
Lucius Fox at the plate. Got to give credit to Matt Slater. Matt Slater has worked in the Cardinals front office for many, many years, and one of his specialties is going to the KBO or finding players in Japan that may have a fit playing in the United States, and more times than not he is hit. I mean, Sungwon-Oh, you think about KK, Verhagen, Miles Michaelis now. Yeah, I mean,
Aaron Brooks is another one who's impressed in camp thus far, trying to battle for a spot on this roster.
I would think that would be kind of difficult to project what a player may do in this league as opposed to, and it's a different style of baseball too.
Yes, that's one that I look at, and Brooks is a good example of this. Okay, so Aaron Brooks in the KBO last year, I think he had something like a 67% ground ball rate, and the year prior to that it was like 70%. Well, you know this, the approach is a little bit different up there from the hitters. They're trying to put the ball in play. Exactly what does that number look like? Like, I think he's grown as a pitcher the last couple of years from his time with the Orioles. but where does that fit? And maybe that's where some of your metrics come in. Hey, we're getting these spin rates, we're getting these velocities, we're getting different stuff, and we believe we can project it. But what I've seen out of Brooks so far in this camp, yeah, he can get ground balls at this level. He can get people out. He can get his punch outs.
The 2-2. Got him. And a called third strike. I like how Herrera was very quiet in receiving that baseball, too, to help sell it. And the strikeout for Nail.
It's a really nice breaking ball. You're right. Good job by Herrera behind the plate to be able to just stay back there. That's something we've seen. I think it's something that Andrew Kisner is continuing to work on, is being quiet back there, not dragging the ball out. Especially with this staff, you got a lot of guys with sink, and you have to stick that. I mean, especially at the bottom of the zone, you got to be able to stick it there. A good job by Herrera.
Yadiel Hernandez, we've seen him a few different stints in the big leagues. He's at the plate. Well, my heart went out to KK. I mean, he really, if you think about it, never got a true full shake at the big league level, and the pandemic hits, and he's a world away from his family and a different country, and you're trying to figure out just the customs and where to go to eat and what to do, and all of a sudden you get the pandemic and it hits, and he can't go anywhere. He's stuck in the States, away from his family.
Not shockingly, though, one of the first guys to step up, befriend him, bring him into his home is Adam Wainwright.
Right.
He's just that guy.
No surprise. Remember when Ryan Sheriff needed a car?
I do.
Former Cardinal left-handed reliever, and Adam Wainwright rented him a car for his spring training.
They saw him walk into spring training multiple days from pretty darn far away.
Said, I'll take care of that.
I got you.
Yep. Well, 16 pitches, 11 strikes, 2 outs, 1-2 the count. Shift on the right side. And Hernandez fouls it away.
Dan, I want you to look into your crystal ball, okay? And I want to go 1 year from now. We're in spring training again. Are you going to be saying shift on the right side?
Limited shift.
Limited shift on the right side. Nobody's in the outfield grass.
Yeah, I don't know if you would, in parts of that, are second basemen or shortstops making sure that they at least begin when the pitch is thrown, that their feet are on the infield dirt. So that's part of it. So you can't go out into shallow right. And then it would be your infielders, 2 on one side, 2 on the other. You can't have 3 on one side. And that's what they're doing in the minor leagues.
You know what the scary thing is, though? It's just another thing to police. You know, it's like, oh, well, he left early. You know, there's so much that goes into it.
What do you think? I think they limit it. I do.
I don't think they do. Not that quick. Not that quick. Because of what you said earlier, that a lot of the reports out there are saying that they don't believe, going through all of it, that it's really going to make that big of a difference.
Another year to study it in the minors, which they did have it last year implemented. 2-2. I think pitch clock would be something that is very important. And it's not only about the speed of the game, and I think what's overlooked is that if you have these guys that are throwing triple digits, it's taking 35, 40 seconds between pitches to kind of gather your breath and regroup. And if you're not allowed to do that, if you have 15, 20 seconds, you might see drop in velocity. Guys are wearing out a bit. And that's part of it, too, trying to get more offense into the game. James Nail from Cape Girardeau in a scoreless inning, 5-4. Cardinals are hiring for the 2022 season at Busch Stadium. Wide variety of part-time game day positions at the ballpark currently available. Great perks and competitive pay. For details, visit cardinals.com/work-at-Busch. New pitcher in for the Nationals, Jordan Weems, a right-hander. Juan Yepez will be the first batter for St. Louis in the home half of the 8th. Chevy called to the pen. Yepes took over for Paul Goldschmidt. Brendan Donovan on deck. And the Cardinals have a right-hander getting loose in their bullpen. First pitch to Yepes is hit out of play.
Got two guys here, Dan, and Yepes and Donovan on deck behind him. Very well could be part of your opening day roster.
Agreed. I mean, Donovan gives you a left-handed bat and versatility on the infield, and now showing he can play the outfield too. So that versatility will play.
Yeah, well, and Yepes gives you the right-handed complement on the bench. You know, the bench ends up being very left-handed with Newbar in that mix as well.
I do wonder how much thought the Cardinals have given to one Albert Pujols. I just wonder.
Well, look, I think that Albert, you know what he is at this point. You know what he does well.
And Yepes hits it into shallow left center. The first out.
What Albert does very well is he still hammers left-handed pitching. This guy hit 294 against lefties. I think he had a 939 OPS last year against lefties. Like, they put him in good positions to succeed with the Dodgers. That was his matchup. I think you could easily do that here. You put him in a position where that's who he's facing. He knows where he's at and where he's going to succeed. I think it's a fit. Especially once you sign Dickerson. Before that, it wasn't a fit.
And a strike to Brendan Donovan. Homered here the other day, the opposite way. At this point, still without a team, Albert Pujols. And he played winter ball as Donovan hits it up the middle and into the shift.
That tells you how much he wants to play, right? Goes out there, plays some winter ball, proving that he's, hey, I'm good, ready to go. For me, Albert at this point in his career, it's more than the milestones. It's more than the 21 home runs away from 700 and the 60-something RBI to surpass Babe Ruth. He can help a club. He just has to be able to help them in the right capacity.
3-batter minimum makes it a little bit easier. You know, if you wanted to have that matchup where the 3-batter minimum wasn't a part of it, then you could say, well, here comes Albert. All right, we're going to go to our righty. But if the lefty is in, you know you're going to get the lefty-righty matchup.
It's a good call.
This is Anderson Tejada. So 2 outs and nobody on. 1 ball and 1 strike. Shift on the right side, and that's popped foul and out of play. Cardinals have a young man warming up in their bullpen, Brad, that is also, along with a couple of the other young guys, opened up some eyes. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, he certainly has. Jacob Bosiokovic out there. He was a first baseman, position player, made the transition. He was a guy that they picked up in the minor league phase, the Rule 5 draft a couple of years ago, and has turned a lot of heads. Been a lot of people talking about Bosiokovic, so looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, he's pitched well so far. The 2-2 pitch to Tejada. Now the count runs full. And a strikeout of Tejada. That'll send us to the 9th. It's a 1-run game. Bosiokovic to the pen. Jacob Bosiokovic, spelled B-O-S-I-O-K-O-V-I-C. If he makes the big league team, warming up, it's Bo.
Go get him, Bosie. Oh, a lot of people have been talking about them. Made the transition from a position player. The Cardinals did pick him up. It was from the Rockies in the Rule 5 draft. And it was just after 1 year of being a pitcher. But they saw enough, said, look, we want to take a chance on this guy. The very short arm delivery. But it's deceptive. Hides the ball well. Has got some zip on it. I'm looking forward to watching him here. He's pitched in one game so far in the Grapefruit League play. Hasn't given up anything. One punch out in his inning of work against the Nationals.
This is interesting. I mean, he's 28, out of Delaware, Ohio. Played at The Ohio State University. Has had Tommy John surgery, by the way. And so here he is. First pitch, grounded to third. And one away. Showing off the arm down there at third. Anderson Tejada. Here's Luis Garcia with a shift on the right side. And a fastball and a strike. Well, you're right. He really short arms it, and it's on you in a hurry.
He does, and it's easy cheese. That one right there was 95. First one was 94. Very simple, compact delivery. You just see how it's hard to pick up. With that short arm, the ball goes right behind him, and he hides it through his entire delivery.
One ball and one strike. Cardinals leading 5-4. That's grounded foul.
It's a good tight cutter there too. Yep. Got the easy 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. That looks just like the fastball with the good cutting action at 90.
Bosiakovic, Jacob Bosiakovic, wearing number 89 in this camp. Fouled back. And the 1-2 pitch, hit out of play. Goodbye, and a strikeout. Froze him.
It's exactly the pitch I was hoping to see right there. He tried it 2 pitches ago with the cutter. He left it up and he left it middle. Didn't get hurt. This time it starts middle and just keeps going in there and ties up the lefty.
So 2 outs here in the top of the 9th. Cardinals leading by a run. Trace Barrera at the plate, and strike one. Cardinals trying to go to 5-1 and drop the Nationals to 1-6. You're in spring training of 2022. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Dan, I know the wins and losses in spring training don't matter. Everything resets, but I feel like there's something to it. There is still something to figuring out ways to win games, how to keep leads in ball games.
Well, you just want to win. You want to have that feeling.
Yeah.
Grounder to Yepes, and that'll end it. So that shot of that fan, she looked pretty familiar.
Everybody enjoying the ballpark. Enjoyable game right there too. Well pitched. Had an offensive output there in the 2nd inning. Got to catch up with Ollie Marmol and his Cardinals. They win again.
5-4 the final. And we will wrap it up when we come back. Cardinals win another one. Good start. They're 5-1.